All right, so now we're in the cereal aisle, and first we're going to talk about some better options in the cereal aisle. So if the first thing that's most important in cereal is to look at your labels. Really start to read labels, take the cereal off the shelf, look at the label. We want to look at what's a serving size, because for cereal, it's all based on weight and serving sizes differ. So ask yourself, am I actually going to have that serving size? If not, you have to multiply everything by how many servings you might be having. So to make that educated decision, we want to look at calories, how many calories are in a serving. Perhaps you want to look at total carbohydrates, perhaps fat. What I really focus on cereals though is added sugars, because we know that this can be an area where there's a lot of added sugar. And so I try to look for ones that have less than 10 grams of added sugar. That allows you to still have something slightly sweet, but it's not going overboard. So I'd rather see someone get the cereal that they like a Honey Nut Cheerios that has 10 grams or less, a little bit around 10, let's see. Has 12 grams of added sugars. I would rather you mix the two, and so you still get that flavor that you desire, versus take this home and pour on all the sugar to make it edible. Another thing I want you to look for is it a good source of fiber? So this is going to be something we start our day with. We want it to fill us up and get us to that next meal or snack. So fiber is really important for that. 2 grams would be great, 2 to 3 grams at minimum. If you can get more, awesome. The other thing you should look at is your ingredient list. So when it comes to cereal, ideally you're eating something that's a whole grain. And to know if it's whole grain or not, we want to look at that ingredient list. Is that first ingredient whole grain oats? And in the case of Cheerios, if it's not whole grain, it might be more refined. So likely you're not getting as much nutrition out of that option. The reason I really emphasize whole grain is when we take a grain, it's got multiple different layers, and when we refine it, we remove those outer layers, and you no longer have that whole grain in its natural state. So you're missing out on B vitamins, some naturally occurring fiber, some protein that's naturally there. Often they add those back to the cereal, but there's something to be said about a food in its natural state. So whenever possible, at least half of our grains per day should be from whole grain sources. So those are some of my tips on cereal. And right next to cereal over here, we have peanut butter and some jellies. So I want to talk a little bit about what to look for when it comes to peanut butter, because I know that can also be somewhat confusing because there's so many different options. So we're looking for, if possible, one that has no added sugars, and if possible, just nuts and salt. We just want those simple ingredients, and the best way to know, again, take that peanut butter off the shelf and take a look at that ingredient list. In the case of this one, the second ingredient is actually sugar, so this would be important, right? You might think this is the better option, but then you see sugar is the second ingredient, followed by hydrogenated vegetable oils, which is an unhealthy source of fat. So we want to make sure we're just getting the healthy source of fat from the nuts. A little bit of salt is fine. That's going to make it a little bit better. So as for jelly, you want to look for ones that are 100% fruit. And try to watch out for all the extra added sugar. Your best option would actually be to use fresh fruit or some frozen fruit, mash it up and put that on your sandwich, because jelly typically is just added sugar. But you can find some good options if you read the label that are 100% fruit, and those would be the better ones to choose if possible. The other thing to watch out for with jelly and with peanut butter is the portion size, right? So it's really easy to go overboard on portion, especially when a serving is only 1 or 2 tablespoons, because that's about the size of your thumb, or if you think about a golf ball, it's about a golf ball size. So it's really easy to go overboard with peanut butter and jelly in that respect. So it's still a great snack. I love having PB&Js available. It's really affordable. And again, this is an area where too, it helps to go if you're trying to save money with the store brand. It's going to taste the same, if not nutritionally, it's going to be very much the same. So really compare those labels and look at the unit price like I mentioned. That's also going to show you when you're getting a better deal for the amount that's in the container. But the jellies, we want to look for 100% whole fruit if possible, and that's going to be your best option when you can't go with fresh or frozen fruit.